My husband spent 15 years building a secret life on my dime, but it took me less than 15 minutes to foreclose on it. My husband, Mark, died on a Tuesday morning. It was an ordinary day. He kissed me on the forehead, complained about the traffic, and left for work. Then, at 10:45 a.m., I got the call from the hospital. A massive heart attack. His heart had simply stopped. He was only 46. I wasn't just devastated, I was destroyed. We had been together for 15 years. He was my world, my rock, my teddy bear who always knew how to make me laugh. I organized a funeral fit for a king. Mahogany, a sea of white lilies, the best spot in the cemetery. I was standing by the coffin, barely keeping myself upright from grief, when the church doors opened. A woman walked in. She was about 10 years younger than me, wearing a black dress that was far too revealing and theatrical makeup that was already running from tears. But it wasn't her that caught everyone's attention. Standing next to her were two boys, roughly 5 and 7 years old. When I looked at them, my breath caught in my throat. They weren't just children. They were miniature clones of Mark. The same cheekbones, the same shape of the eyes, even that same funny way of tilting their heads. The woman wasn't just crying, she was wailing. She threw herself at the coffin, shoving me aside with her shoulder, and screamed, "Why did you leave us, my love? What are we gonna do now?" The guests froze. The silence was so loud, it felt like glass was about to shatter. Later at the wake, she approached me. Her name was Alina. She didn't apologize, nor did she look upset by my presence. On the contrary, she looked at me with defiance and pity? "I know this is hard for you," she said, sipping the wine I had paid for, "but Mark and I should have told you everything a long time ago. We've been together for 7 years. He loved me. These children are his heirs." I stood there, thunderstruck, as she continued to pummel me with facts. Mark promised we would never want for anything. He said this house, your villa by the lake, the 2 cars, all of it would go to us so I could raise his sons. He said only pity and habit were keeping him with you. In that moment, my sadness evaporated. Its place was taken by a cold, icy rage. Alina didn't know one small but critical detail. Mark was charming, kind, and a financial disaster. 10 years ago, he had buried himself in terrible debt due to a failed business and gambling. He had destroyed his credit score completely. Banks wouldn't have given him a loan for a toaster. I was the one who pulled us out of that hole. I built my own company from scratch. I worked 16 hours a day. I was the breadwinner. Every single asset we had, our luxury home, the vacation villa, our Lexuses, the bank accounts, everything was registered exclusively in my name. We had a post-nuptial agreement regarding separate property, which we signed after his bankruptcy to protect my assets from his creditors. Mark owned nothing. Even the suit he was buried in was bought by me. I hired a private investigator the very next morning. It turned out Mark had been renting an apartment for Alina in the next town over. He had lied to me, claiming the money was for office rent for his new startup. Essentially, I had been supporting his mistress and his children out of my own pocket for years. A week later, Alina called me, demanding a meeting with a notary to divide the inheritance. I agreed. We met in my office. She arrived with a lawyer who looked too far arrogant. "We are claiming half the marital assets, including the house and child support," he declared. I silently slid a folder across the table. My lawyer opened it and began to read. According to the documents, the deceased, Mark, owned no real estate. The vehicles belong to my client. The bank accounts are corporate or personal accounts belonging to my client. Mark had only a personal account which, at the time of his death, contained, he glanced at the paper, $450.12. Alina's face began to drain of color. But the apartment, she exclaimed.
We live in an apartment. He said he bought it.
Yes, the apartment. I smiled, though my eyes remained cold. The apartment at 12 Garden Street, it was indeed purchased by me 5 years ago as an investment property. Mark simply managed it. I slid an envelope toward her. This isn't a will, Alina. It's an eviction notice. You have 14 days to vacate my premises. You have been living there illegally, rent-free, for years. I could sue for back rent for all those years, but I'm feeling generous today. She started screaming, crying, shoving photos of the children in my face. These are his kids, your husband's. How can you leave them on the streets? You're rich. Do you have no heart? I stood up. I had a heart. But your beloved broke it when he spent my life funding his lies. He lied to you just as he lied to me. You thought you hit the jackpot waiting for the rich wife to die or divorce, but you bet on the wrong horse. I sold that apartment a month after she moved out. I spent all the proceeds on a luxury vacation to the Maldives, a trip Mark and I had always dreamed of, but never had time for. And the kids? I mailed them a copy of Mark's death certificate. That is the only thing they need to apply for government survivor benefits. They didn't get another dime from me, or from my husband's name. Curl? Maybe. But Mark made his choice when he spent my life funding his lies. The account is closed.